The following episode of Crusade for Myth Drannor is adapted from the Wayward Wood by Leonard Wilson, published in Dungeon Magazine number 32. Our heroes in the firbolgs set out westward toward the court of Willowrose at dawn the next morning, but halfway through the day they are approached by a badly matted and bloody mongrel dog, whining for the adventurers' attention. One of the firbolgs recognizes the dog, crying out in surprise. Sensing the animal's distress, Lhoris quickly casts a spell to allow him to speak to her, asking how she was injured. The wounded animal responds while her wounds are examined by the druid.
I was at the human place when I was attacked by a horde of howling, smelly green monsters that were all claws and teeth.
Duncan explains that the dog is from the Boiling Cauldron, a rural inn near the Moonsea Ride. Túrendil expresses hope that competent warriors might have been staying there, while the dog continues to speak to Lhoris, saying that she was here because she ran away from the monsters. Lhoris asks the dog her name, which she says is Truffle. An examination of the dog reveals that much of the blood is not her own. Lhoris bandages her only real wound, a shallow triple claw mark on her flank, the claws spaced too widely to be any natural forest animal. A swift debate ensues among the adventurers as to whether they should proceed to the Boiling Cauldron or continue on to the court of Willowrose. Though Túrendil voices that if trolls in numbers greater than the occupants of the tavern had attacked, as Truffle had indicated, it was likely none still lived, the majority of the party wants to investigate, so they set out in that direction. Arriving at the tavern, it is immediately obvious that the trolls have taken up residence in the structure. Duncan immediately suggests burning down the inn with the trolls inside. Staying the firbolg chieftain's hand, Jade and Rilyanasse start sneaking around the building, hoping to find survivors of the troll attack. Túrendil passes Rilyanasse a potion of invisibility that he'd been saving before she follows the tabaxi. Once in the bushes outside the tavern, Jade drinks her own invisibility draught. Approaching the building, Ril hears the sounds of trolls chattering in the giant's tongue and the sloshing of beer barrels. Peering into a window, she sees 4 trolls in the kitchen, rifling through the silverware and pans and bending them into odd shapes. Looking into a different window, Jade sees a female troll wearing too small jewelry and admiring herself in a mirror. Continuing to scout, she goes around the east side of the building, passing an empty room to discover 5 trolls crowded into a small bedroom, apparently gambling at the next window. Going the other way around the building, Ril comes to the kitchen door as one of the gambling trolls sniffs the air and looks right at where Jade is standing. The catfolk makes a hasty retreat, continuing around the back of the building, where through another window she sees a pair of trolls sleeping in a nest of debris. Ril makes a similar discovery in the room south of the kitchen. Reaching the barnyard fence, she moves out toward the barn, where she hears the heavy breathing of at least 3 sleeping creatures inside. Regrouping, the party confers on a strategy. Túrendil grimly notes that burning the place down with the trolls inside sounds better and better, but the tree line is too close to be safe from the fire. Ril and Jade begin to outline a plan to bottle up the trolls at the exits, while Lhoris interjects that he would prefer to wait until nightfall, claiming his magic is stronger under the light of Selune. After more deliberation, the firbolgs say that getting Willowrose's treants to help would tip the balance firmly in their favor, and they can afford to wait for that. It is decided that Lhoris will speed his way to the Treant Queen's Grove to bring help while the firbolgs and the remainder of the adventurers hide in the tree line, staking out the inn in case their quarry decides to move again. Time passes, the day slipping away, and Lhoris returns with several treants in tow, the slow-moving plant creatures stalking gracefully through the wood to join the waiting party, undetected by the trolls who have begun making quite a racket within the ruined Boiling Cauldron. Apprised of their plan and asked to corral the malevolent giant so that none escape, the 4 treants who had come to help animate a pair of mighty trees to serve as further reinforcements and begin encircling the building. Túrendil calls for a blessing on his sword and armor, Massul drinks down a potion to increase his size, and their attack on the inn is announced by one of their firbolg allies, blowing his war horn. The party advances on the front door of the Boiling Cauldron and are met by a troll ducking under the front door to meet them in battle. Túrendil slices into the giant while Lhoris advances, wasting no time in calling forth a flame blade, backed by the first of Rilyannasse's many arrows into the troll. And Jade sneaks to hug the building and the concealing decorative shrubs. The DM remembers it's supposed to be dark and makes the appropriate adjustment to the ambient lighting as Massul brings his hammer to bear on the green monster. Multiple rocks catapult from the dark of the forest, 3 of the 6 boulders connecting with the first troll, bringing it down, and 2 more emerge to take its place, pelted by a volley of boulders from the party's firbolg allies, several finding their mark and downing one of the new moss trolls in an instant. The eager young druid charges into the fray, ignoring the downed troll to apply his flame blade to one of the moss trolls, slicing it with the magic burning blade. Rill knocks a pair of dragon's breath arrows and fires them into the nearest unconscious troll's body. Massul hammers one of their foes as one of the firbolgs hefts her axe and downs the third with an impressive blow. Still more trolls burst out of the cauldron, drawing opportunity attacks as they attempt to overwhelm the party's front line. Blade, bow, hammer, and spell fly, battering the enemy giants, while more of the firbolg join the fray with axes drawn. Hoping to turn the tide, several of the bold trolls light sizable torches, wielding them menacingly at the party's treant allies on the western side of the cauldron. The creatures, born of leaf and wood, retreat from the threat of fire. Túrendil and Lhoris bring their sword and flame blade to bear on the last moss troll engaging the warpriest, downing their foe with a well-placed slice and ensuring it stays down with a fiery spell. Rill downs the last troll on the outside of the inn, giving Massul the chance to duck under the doorframe and appraise the boiling cauldron's common room. The firbolgs, who had been hanging back with huge flickering torches, take this break in the fighting to advance and ply their fiery elements to the downed trolls, finishing off their brutal enemies once and for all. One of the treants crushes a troll with its enormous limbs. Suddenly, a sphere of darkness engulfs the western end of the battlefield. Finding himself unengaged, Túrendil calls for the blessing of the Seldarine upon himself and his allies, and moves towards the trolls fighting treants to the west, spying one half outside the magical darkness. Trolls, treants, and firbolgs continue to hew at each other as the melee continues. Inside the building, Massul takes a swing at a troll as it squeezes through an interior door, his hammer impacting upon the hapless giant with a crack. Túrendil charges the nearest troll, Nephilium's blessed blade slashing through the giant's hide. Lhoris summons a bouncing sphere of flame, sending it hurtling toward one of the trolls, but the beast deftly dodges. Rill sinks a flaming arrow into the troll engaging Túrendil, the shaft flying true. Massul continues to rain blows on the troll inside the tavern before moving back to make room for the firbolg behind him, who strikes a thunderous blow. Raising her crossbow, Jade fires at the jewelry-loving troll as she stuffs her pockets with gems. The bolt smashes through the window glass and strikes true. One of the animated trees lumbers up behind Túrendil and bludgeons his target with a branch. The treants inside the darkness spell flail at their unseen opponents, mostly missing while attacking blind. Behind the line, Túrendil sees a female troll emerge from the barn and cast a spell, which he identifies as a paralyzing enchantment directed at the young druid. Lhoris handily repels the mental assault. The troll Túrendil attacked returns in kind, but fumbles against the warpriest's armor as more trolls continue to swarm the treants under cover of darkness. Inside the tavern, Massul strikes at a moss troll trying to rush him, but more crowd into the common room, threatening to overwhelm the enlarged dwarf. Continuing to cry a prayer to Corellin, Túrendil hews at the troll again, as Lhoris runs in, flame blade in hand. The monster falls to the young druid's fire. Rill moves in closer and shoots the next troll behind, trying to clear the way to the troll's caster. Inside, Massul swings his hammer in a wide arc, striking down one of the creatures. The firbolgs move in for the kill as Jade sinks another crossbow bolt into the troll through the window, but the troll regenerates almost as fast as she can hurt it. One of the treants crushes the troll Rill shot to a pulp, but suffering true death as her fire arrow had overwhelmed its regeneration. His path cleared, Túrendil charges the spellcasting troll, shouting the end of the litany of arrows as he turns aside her followers' attempts to stop it. Nephilium skitters off her hide armor as her own claw lands home with a sickening crunch. Lhoris dispatches the unconscious troll before him with his flaming sphere, before stepping up and singeing the next giant with his flame blade as he shouts a command to his owlbear companion to attack the nearest monster. Rill hobbles up to gain a better angle and shoots the troll engaging the young owlbear. Inside the inn, Massul lands another thunderous blow and carries through to the next giant. The firbolgs continue laying into their hated rivals. Abandoning firing through the window as a bad job, Jade leaves her troll to the firbolg that joined her and runs around the building. The troll witch lays into the warpriest with her claws and fangs, knocking the elf to the ground, gushing blood. Her followers continue their counterattack in a flurry of teeth and claws. Túrendil manages to stabilize, but remains unconscious on the ground. One of the treants pounds the troll in front of Lhoris to a paste before the young druid directs his flaming sphere into the spellcasting troll. Rill skirts around the darkness looking for targets, calling her owl to her. Massul continues his reckless hammer blows, but misses. The firbolg also in the end does not, however, landing a solid blow with his axe as his fellows also press their attack, to great success. Jade continues circling the building. The treants continue to bludgeon trolls, one crashing through the corner of the building to rescue Túrendil. The troll's leader returns in kind, gouging into the treant's bark. Lhoris rushes toward the inn's front door. Rill doubles back, skirting around the combat she can hear raging in the darkness. Massul continues to hew at the trolls, striking both in a lateral swing of his lucerne hammer. The surviving firbolgs continue the attack, some lighting torches to finish off fallen trolls. Duncan shrinks himself to the size of a man and enters the inn, avoiding the need to squeeze through the door. Jade continues circling the building. The treants start breaking into the building to get at the trolls still inside, as the one over Túrendil continues to duel with their chieftainess, and another comes to his aid as the melee in the darkness continues. The troll shaman is unfazed and continues gouging at the treants, channeling dark power into one of her claws, which thankfully goes wide. Lhoris follows Duncan into the tavern, preparing his flame blade to put down the unconscious trolls. Massul moves towards the doorway to strike the troll squeezing through the door. Seeing her childhood friend motionless at the feet of the troll priestess, Rill hands a vial of alchemist fire to Ellen Peelin and orders her to drop it on the troll. The liquid ignites on contact with air and douses the troll in flame. The firbolgs continue the assault, torchbearers putting down trolls to flame. One of the treants, badly mauled by the troll's shaman, withdraws while others move in to take its place. The priestess herself, displaying typical troll fearlessness, simply lashes out at these new targets, channeling negative energy through her claw. Lhoris sears a troll to death as Lupin closes on the caster in a flurry of teeth and claws. Rill calls on her owl to guard her fallen childhood friend as she looses a volley of arrows. Massul brings his hammer down on the troll stuck in the hallway, bringing down the monster. Finally rounding the building, Jade jumps the fence just in time to see the treants finally beat the defiant priestess into the dirt. The threat past, Rill rushes to her friend's side and revives him with a wand. Túrendil observes that the troll hit harder than most. As the party and firbolgs take stock and search the inn, Massul finds a barricaded door. Breaching it, he and Túrendil find a woman hiding under the bed.
You have nothing to fret now. Those beasts have been taken care of.
She embraces them and sobs, thanking the adventurers for her rescue as Túrendil gently corrects Massul's pronouncement that she has nothing to worry about, in the old High Elven tongue that she likely does not speak. The barmaid is bruised but otherwise unharmed, explaining that the trolls had thrown her in here after eating everyone else and barricaded the room.
It is also so rude of me. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Massul of Clan Bloodfury, at your service, by the way.
In response, she introduces herself as Lena.
My name is Lena. I work here at the Boiling Cauldron. Or at least I guess I used to.
And breaks down sobbing that the tavern folk were the only family she knew. She begs the party to take her on as a servant, to which Túrendil offers to see her safely to a Schadenfurt, where she could find safety and work. Lhoris asks her if she was close with the dog that came around here. She excitedly asks if one of the dogs still lives, but then the DM's ADD drops that line of conversation as she begins lamenting that the trolls took the strongbox and scattered its contents all over miles of woods, so she'll never earn enough to rebuild her beloved inn. Over and over and over. Moved by the barmaid's plight, the party puts together a large sum of gold to put toward rebuilding the inn. The party returns to the court of Willowrose, who happily receives them and swiftly agrees to return the forest back to where it belongs, and gives her blessing to the adventurers. The firbolgs adopt the adventurers into their clan, and as for Dunsinane, they give a hero's welcome to the party, Before the year is out, their names are forgotten in the retelling of the legend of the Walking Wood. Thus concludes the Wayward Wood, but the crusade for Myth Drannor is far from over. Join us next time as our heroes forge into a forbidding swamp on a perilous errand. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next adventure.